Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my March wrap-up. And to help me get through it, I'm gonna have a glass of wine in a medieval goblet, because of course. Didn't really read that much in March. The Night Guest by Hilda Knutsdotter. Nearly said something else then. Which is translated by Mary Robinette Cowell. And it's kind of like a psychological horror, very short, like I pretty much read it in, I think it was 2 sittings, but a normal human would have been able to get through it in 1 sitting. And yeah, like it's fast paced, it's intriguing, and then I kind of found the ending to be a bit lackluster, but I don't know whether that was my expectations and I was expecting it to go further and like get more fucked up. But it essentially kind of feels a bit like a ghost story. I don't know whether that's already too much of a spoiler. Yeah, so it was alright until like maybe the end where I was just kind of like, ah. But I guess in a way, like if I'd watched that as a movie, I wouldn't necessarily have been as harsh on it as I was with a book, so I don't know what that says. I reckon it would actually make quite a good movie. But yeah, so that's kind of like the only real thing I read. I have been in kind of like not in an audiobook mood recently. So normally that's where I do a ton of reading, so I haven't really been reading. And then I've got like a couple I've got on the go. One I probably would have read and finished, but I left it at the library, and so now I've just got it back, which is Toni Morrison's recitative, which I think is like a music term, maybe. I think I looked it up and then forgot it. But yeah, I've never actually read any Toni Morrison, which kind of feels like a massive faux pas. And I saw this while I was shelving books at the library, which is sometimes where you can get some really great, like, books that you've never heard of, or something that catches your eye. I mean, this is quite a beautiful cover, and this is obviously like a novella, and I think this edition is like when it's first been published on its own, if I'm correct. But essentially, it's a story about 2 women who have known each other since childhood. One is a black woman, one is a white woman. But what Toni Morrison does is she doesn't tell you who is who. So she doesn't say specifically this character is black, this character is white. She lets you do the guesswork. And I think the idea is not necessarily to settle on an idea of who is black and who is white, but to sort of examine your own racial prejudices while you're reading it, to sort of see, well, I think this person is the white person, but then why do you think that? I think it's fucking genius idea, which hence the reason why I've grabbed it. But I'm just really intrigued to delve into some of Morrison's work. It's got a bit of a weird mark on the back. Mystery stain. Yeah, that's the problem with library books, is sometimes there's mystery stains. But yeah, so I'm intrigued to read and finish this. This will, I don't know why I'm saying about this, like, you'll find out about this perhaps in the April wrap-up, but I did kind of say that with We Do Not Part, which I haven't gone back to. I'm doing my age-old reading habit of finding something a little bit challenging and a little bit boring and then avoiding it, which is less than great. Still reading, am I still reading it, or have I just paused it? I think I need to start saying that, because I'm not still reading it, I've just put it on pause. Like, I'm still reading. I've paused June Messiah, but I'm gonna go back to it. Fucking Vampire Lestat, I don't know what the devil has happened to him, but I haven't picked it up since last year, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to continue or if I'm gonna have to reread the whole lot that I've read. But another book that I'm currently reading is none other than The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. It's the sequel to The Name of the Wind, which was the best book I read last year. And she's a chonker, about 1,000 pages. And like, I've picked it up a few times, and the fucking font is microscopic. So it's going to take me a while to get through this, and I am struggling to pick it up. Not for the content, fucking love this story, and so intrigued to see where it's going. It's just the font and the heftiness of the book. Like, it's not a book you can just chuck in your bag to go to read while you're out somewhere, because it would take up your whole fucking bag. But yeah, basically, I want to read this month. I'm going to set myself the goal. I mean, I know this is already like the first week of April's over, so I've got 3 weeks to read The Beast. We'll see what happens. And I actually think I looked, and it took me about 3 months to read Name of the Wind. So she's going to take me a while. Oh God, my hair looks terrible. I've been at work and my hair looks shit. So I do apologise. I think my hair has a shelf life of about 15 minutes looking okay, and then it goes crap. So yeah, they are the books that I've read / I've currently started reading in the first week of April, because otherwise I wouldn't really have anything to talk about. In terms of movies, I think I've only watched 2 movies in March, but I'm going to talk about a movie that I watched at the beginning of April because I'll forget it by the end of the month. First one is Mickey 17, directed by Bong Joon-ho. I enjoyed this. I thought it was funny. I thought it was smart, sort of interesting satire on capitalism, colonialism, sort of the commodification of people through labour and the exploitation that working is. But I don't know, I feel like Bong Joon-ho's English stuff is a lot goofier than his Korean stuff. And like, I mean, it's probably going to be like one of the best. It feels like a blockbuster, but in the trailers, but it's far more thinky than that. And like, there's a whole thing about like a particular species, which are the cutest like worm mammal things ever. And so like, it's almost like, again, treading the ground of Okja in terms of like animal rights, sort of disturbance of species, and like the human toll on nature, which I thought was really fucking cool. And I didn't expect that. I swear it didn't sort of hint at that in the trailer. Which, yeah, like it was an unexpected turn in the movie, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, I just feel like there was so much going on that it was a bit too much, perhaps. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. And it's based on a book, so like maybe I'll read the book at some point and do like a book to movie comparison and like rewatch it or something. Next film I watched was Excalibur, which I have no idea who directed it. John Boorman. That's probably not how you say the name. Boorman, not Boorman. What in the fever dream? So this is like early 80s, but obviously probably was recorded and produced in the 70s, and you can tell. It's trippy as fuck, but stunning. Like, and also very anachronistic. Like, I'm pretty sure in medieval times they didn't have plate armour like that. Not that I'm a medieval specialist or anything, but stunning looking movie. Merlin in it is a bit, I don't know, like, bad acting in my opinion. But there's like some unexpected, like I didn't realise fucking Jean-Luc Picard, what's his name, Patrick Stewart was in it. Helen Mirren obviously plays Morgan Le Fay, which I thought stunning. Like, she looked so cool in her dresses. Again, very anachronistic costuming, but like so cool. And it's kind of like a fast forward through Arthurian legends, and you kind of think, would it have been better to have maybe like focused on one aspect, because the Arthurian legends are so vast, and obviously you've got the ones that come from Wales, there's legends of the same thing that come from Cornwall, you've also got like the French joining in, so it's like very confusing and crazy. I've never actually read any Arthurian stuff because I don't even know where to bloody start, because I'm not sure. Do I read The Friendship? But no, that came later. Do I read, is it the Mabagone? It's the Welsh book of sort of myths and legends. The Mabinogion? God. Mabinogion? Please correct my pronunciation. So I think maybe I'll start with the Mabagonian. And then maybe like have a dalliance with the French stuff and kind of compare. But I think like perhaps my favourite part of the movie was the middle bit. I mean, I'm sometimes a sucker for a love triangle. So like the love triangle between King Arthur, his wife, who I've forgotten her name, and Lancelot was interesting. Kind of like ideas of unrequited or unfulfilled love always fuels me. Like some of my favourite movies have that sort of trope of sort of just not being able to be with the person that you love because one reason or another. So I enjoyed that kind of aspect. But yeah, it's just basically a fever dream of medieval romance. Like not necessarily romance as in kissing, but romances, like that's where, yeah, like stories. Yeah, so I would say it's worth a watch, but it's very dated. But there is a charm to that. Like I feel like modern day movies don't have the sort of rough around the edges aspect of older movies. And like even you can see it, like even with the Lord of the Rings, when you watch that movie, it looks a bit more gritty than your modern day stuff, which is basically CGI and looks kind of perfect, but therefore slightly more empty than some of the older stuff. It's a little bit like fuzzy around the edges, sort of frayed. It just feels more alive, I guess. But yeah, no, I would say it's an enjoyable romp through Arthurian legends. There we go, let's leave it at that. And then the final film that I watched, but kind of watched at the beginning of April, was Hackers by Ian Softly. This is like a 1995 movie. It's kind of like one of those movies that was shit and critically panned at the time, but has kind of like become a cult classic. And TBH is still fucking shit, but there's like a charm to it. And I think a lot of that lies in sort of like Angelina Jolie and her character, and just sort of the fashion, but the sort of rebellion aspect of it. Like it's about obviously hackers, and so it's just distinctly 90s. Like it's so 90s it hurts. And it's in the same vein of The Matrix being so 90s, and like they're using like these fucking chunky ass clunky computers, plugging into phone boxes to hack things. The way hacking is presented, like the code is just ridiculous, so stylized, but there's a charm to it. And one of the best things about the movie is the soundtrack. And it's just like the Prodigy and like some really cool techno music. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. But yeah, it's just like a bit of a stupid, silly movie that could only have been created in the 90s. Like there's no way anything like that would get made now. But I just kind of love cheesy, slightly shit movies, because it's just a charm to them. And yeah, it's an enjoyable watch if you don't really want anything that's going to be critically acclaimed. And it kind of just gives you a nostalgia. I mean, I was a fucking baby / young toddler / 5-year-old in the 90s, so I don't remember any of it. So it's kind of like cool to watch movies that are distinctly of an era that you were around for, but that you don't really know, but you kind of have a small recollection of it. Like there are parts where I kind of know the 90s, but I don't know. This is just not making any sense at all. I do apologise for just rambling. Probably going to cut all this out. And then perhaps the thing that I spent most of my time doing in March / towards the end and into the beginning of April has been watching TV. So I resubscribed to Apple TV so that I could watch the second season of Severance because I've been itching to watch it, and I finally did, and Jesus Christ, sensational. Like, one of the best shows currently on TV. I loved it. I just think it's just so clever and just weird and like a great satire of corporate culture. And I really actually enjoyed how it ended this season. I don't necessarily want to spoil it, so maybe skip past. I might leave like a little like timestamp so that you can safely skip to that point, because I want to talk about something that I noticed and like why I noticed that, which I think was kind of cool. But yeah, so skip ahead now or get spoiled, mate, baby. It's your choice. Yeah, so at the end of the season, there's this like whole sequence, and it builds up to this, where there's some birds frolicking on my roof. Frolicking or fucking, who knows? I've literally forgotten. I know Helly. Mark. Okay. So you've got Mark, you've got his wife, who has been going through some shit. And like, there's such a stunning episode that was all shot on film, I believe, or all of the sort of flashbacks were shot on gorgeous, rich, colour-toned film, which I thought was a stunning juxtaposition between the sort of very corporate white, green, blue of the show. So you get these rich, beautiful colours, basically showing you the relationship between Mark and his wife, who I've forgotten her name because I am shit. This is going to be a very disjointed review, perhaps. Because I think, well, she's got two different names, because in season 1 she's thought to be completely unconnected to a particular, to Mark. Gemma, aka Miss Casey. So, it charts Gemma and Mark's sort of beginning of relationship and the continuation. They're literally ideal couple by all accounts, until something happens, which is fucking tragic, and it's like so sad. And obviously we find out how and why she died. And basically for a duration she's just been tested on. So she obviously got in with this cult like company and volunteered for some kind of thing, maybe to forget all the trauma of what she's been going through. It's not explicitly told why she goes there, but she's basically the test subject of Mark's sort of reason to be within the company. So he's basically harvesting her data and sorting through it, which I thought was just weird but kind of genius. And she's been severed but loads. So it's clear that they're kind of trying to find a way to see how far the human mind can go and how far it can be manipulated. And then they do a final test, which is called, I think it's Cold Harbour, or is she Cold Harbour? I'm not sure. Which is to basically put her into a room to rebuild a cot, which, if you've watched the show, like, there's obviously some really kind of like traumatic shit that happens around trying to have a baby, and she doesn't feel anything, which is a success for the process of severance. And it's just, obviously this show is so mysterious and important, and so I'm so glad it's obviously, I mean, they're not going to cancel it because it's one of the biggest shows on Apple TV. So I'm so glad they're doing a season 3. Like, maybe we'll get a few more answers, because, like, obviously as the seasons go by, you know a little bit more. So I'm intrigued to see what the real purpose behind Severance is, because it's not just to have more production at work. It's clearly something more. But yeah, so basically she's stuck in this fucking hellscape. And that's important, hell. And so there's this whole thing about him going to get her and rescuing her, that felt very Greek mythology, very Eurydice and Odysseus, not Odysseus. It felt very Eurydice and Orpheus. Like, Orpheus trots down into hell to rescue his dead wife and bring her back to the land of the living, but he's not allowed to look back because then she'll be lost forever. But in the show, it feels like they subvert that, whereas he looks back, sees Helle, and then stays. I thought that was fucking genius. Yeah, like, that kind of floored me. But the reason why I made that connection, I mean, maybe I would have, because I love Greek mythology, and I have since I was a kid. But I recently reread a Carol Ann Duffy poem from her collection, The World's Wife, which I actually studied at A-level. I can't remember, it's like Orpheus's wife, I think, but I can't remember whether it's exactly called that. No, it's actually called Eurydice, so interestingly, most of the poems in that collection are named, like, Mrs. Lucifer or something. So it was interesting that it was pointedly called just Eurydice. But yeah, like, I love that poem. I think it's, like, so cool, and the way it's written, it's very, like, sardonic. Yeah, so I'd reread that because it was World Poetry Day and we were, like, sharing our favourite poems at the library at work. And so then, obviously, when I watched that, I was just like, oh, shit, it's fucking Eurydice and Orpheus. I just love it when there's references in things. I'm such a sucker for, like, a film reference or a literary reference. So yeah, I thought that was really cool, and I'm just intrigued to see where it goes. And yeah, I'd love to hear people's opinions of the way season 2 ended, but, like, try not to spoil, which is kind of impossible. Yeah, so I finished watching that. Wheel of Time is back, so I'm watching that currently, really enjoying it. Love sort of the dark fantasy vibes of the show, and like some just epic sequences this season. Like, the whole sort of, like, there's this bit where they go into this weird abandoned town, and then it shows Randall Thor experiencing all his past lives, and I thought that was fucking epic. So I'm just really enjoying it. I don't really have anything to say about it because the season is still airing, but I'm just really enjoying it, so I'll probably have, like, more thoughts at the end of April. So if you are watching The Wheel of Time as well, like, check back in April's video. Then, obviously, because I'm still subscribed to Apple TV, I'm watching The Studio, which is like a Seth Rogen show. It's a satire of Hollywood. Hilarious. I've only seen 2 episodes so far. Fucking hilarious, laugh out loud stuff. And yeah, it's just brilliant, and I can't wait to watch the rest of it. Again, I'll probably have more thoughts at the end of the month when everything's aired. And then, because I'm watching Apple TV, I was going to start watching Silo, but then I decided that I've just finished watching Severance. I need, like, some light entertainment. So I started watching Shrinking, which is like a comedy series about psychologists, therapists, and, like, the sort of dramas in their life. And it's just very feel good and hilarious. But one of the reasons why it's absolutely fucking hilarious is because it's got Harrison Ford in it, and he plays, like, a very grumpy, stoic therapist who just has some of the best lines, and it's had me roaring with laughter. And so then I decided that I was going to, so I'm currently watching that, but I'm also currently watching another comedy show, which is by the same people that created Shrinking, which is Ted Lasso, which probably nobody needs to know about because I think everyone and their mother has watched it. But I've avoided it because I don't really enjoy football. Like, I don't think I ever have, really. Except maybe when I was, like, a kid. Sometimes you'd watch, like, England and stuff play in the World Cup. But yeah, so I started watching Ted Lasso and I fucking love it. It's hilarious. I've been laughing so much watching it. And it's just literally so wholesome. Like, Ted Lasso is the cutest human to ever human. And, like, yeah, it's about football, but it's fucking genius. Obviously, Roy Kent is hilarious. I just think he's genius. He's probably my favourite character in the show because I just think everything he says is fucking hilarious. But yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. And I haven't watched some decent comedy in quite a while. So it's been really cool in the month of March / into April to have been watching like 3 different shows that have basically made me roar with laughter. And like an interesting side note, so I normally like IMDb and Wikipedia the shit out of casts of shows that I watch or movies. I don't know why. I just like to know who's in something. Like if they're good in something, I'm like, oh, what else has this person done? So then I can go and watch something else that some actor, some director, some cinematographer has been working on. And like I found out that the dude that plays Roy Kent, Brett Goldstein, actually has a film podcast called Films to be Buried With, and I've started watching that or listening to it on like my drive to work. Fucking hilarious and such a good, like, just people talking about movies. And so like the concept is you die and then he asks you a series of questions about, oh shit, right, we're back in it. My battery just died. This is imminently going to die. I was talking about a film podcast. Yeah, basically, like, the idea is that you have died and you can only take, or it's just a discussion of films because you've died. It makes sense if you listen to the podcast. And it's just, like, people talking about movies that have, like, inspired them, influenced them, like, their favourite movie, sort of critically acclaimed movies, an experience of watching a movie. And it's just, like, a really cool discussion of films. And, like, I've already gotten a few recommendations that I'm probably going to watch at some point. So yeah, I would definitely recommend listening to that if you enjoy movies and you're looking for a new podcast, or maybe you've already listened to it, I don't know. But yeah, so basically we're at the end of the video. It's so annoying that my battery didn't fucking last until the end, because I just had to spend about 10 minutes, probably not 10 minutes because I am still recording the audio, 3 minutes, but it was like literally the end of the world because I couldn't find the battery. So yeah, I don't know why I'm rambling. And yeah, basically, thank you for watching. Cheers, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.